I'm live, but I'm not live on YouTube. Hey everyone, hope everybody's doing good. Everybody hear me fine? Yeah, copy the link and see if I remember how to pin it. Hmm. All right, should be pinned to the top. All right. Hey Randy, how you doing? All right. Welcome to Tuesday instead of Bob Walker. It's Tom. Hope everybody's doing good. Kind of a semi-winter day today. It only got up to 51. It got really windy, about 35-mile-per-hour winds, but it's calming down now, so a lot better. So I'm going to talk about today about a little bit about brood management and minimizing swarming. And I'm going to relate this to my schedule. I know people down south are already past this point, and you'll have to set it up to your schedule. And people up north, you'll probably about into the beginning of my schedule I'm going to talk about. So for me, I try to go in all my hives around the first week of April. That's usually about the time of swarm season for us. Usually about the first week, the second week. We've only had one swarm in the Southwest Ohio, Hamilton County area so far, and that was a couple of days ago. Um, so when you go into your hive early in the season, people down south, it's probably January, maybe early February. If you see 4 frames of brood, especially if it's some of it's capped, 2 or 3 frames of capped brood, um, you can do two things. You can leave it alone, or you can try, if you want to build your hive for a honey production, I call this the 2-1-2 method: 2 brood, 1 comb frame, 2 brood. So never separate where there's only 1 brood next to the new comb unless you're already in the summer and it's getting warm. Like for me, it would be May, when it's steady 50, the lows are lower than 50 degrees, most of the time 55, maybe 60. The highs are starting to get 75 to 80. Then it's not an issue. But when I check them at late February, early April, we still got freezing nights and 35-degree nights. And you can build your hive up a little bit faster if you take um, the 4 brood frames and enter a comb frame right down the center of that hive. Um, then you can put one at the end of that hive, end of the brood, I mean. So that gives the queen 2 frames to lay on. One immediately right in the middle of her brood nest. Those bees will rush to clean that brood frame. She'll see that clean frame and she'll get right on it right away as soon as she finish up what she's doing on the current frame she's on. Then basically it takes, if it's a perfect frame with no pollen or honey on it, it takes around 4.5 days, 4.3 days, 4.2 to 4.6 or 7 days for her to lay a frame up. If she's laying anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000 eggs a day. So basically, I say 4.5 days. So putting those 2 comb frames in there, that basically gives you basically 9 days, 10 days, where she will not run out of space if you just got her in a single box, like over winter timers. If you got a queen of Calyderon or something like that. Um, and that's fine. Like you know that in 2 weeks, or basically in 10 days, I call it 2 weeks because by then some of that cat brood from those other four frames will be emptying out, and she'll be laying in those spots after she gets done with those two frames. So it buys you 2 weeks basically. So I start on April 1st. That gives me to the middle of April. I'll go back into that box again, and I'll see now that she's got 8 frames of brood because she laid those two up. That gives you six. Plus, she started another one that makes maybe seven. So maybe 7 frames of brood. So once again, I'll go ahead and take, then that's maximum brood you want in that box. 8 frames is max. Seven I call max. 8 is emergency max. Because 2 frames will be pollen, and then it only gives you 2 frames left, and most of the time those got honey on them on the outside. So I don't like getting over 6 frames of brood, no more than 7 in the lower brood box. So then I'll go ahead and take some of the brood frames down to the out of the bottom box and move them up to the top box. So once again, I'll have 2 brood. I'll put another comb. Actually, this time I'll go ahead and take the honey from the outside box and move it to the center of the brood frame. So she got 2 brood, got the honey frame, 2 brood. They'll take that honey and move it up to the top box or out to the last frame that's on the other side. But if there's 8 frames of brood, you can go 2 brood, a honey frame, 2 brood, a honey frame, 2 brood. And that's the maximum of your box. But that will buy you another 2 weeks. That they probably won't be swarming because once again, it'll take her 10, 11 days. And definitely she'll have empty frames by then that's been hatched, emerged out. So that'll get me down to the end of April, 1st of May. So once again, May, I'll go back in there and I'll do the same thing. I'll pull 3 or 4 brood frames out, put them on top. I'll take 2 honey frames from the top box, move them down into the bottom box where she's got 2 brood, a honey, 2 brood, a honey, 2 brood. And that'll get me to the end of May. To the middle of May. And I won't have to worry about swarming. Then, basically, by the end of May, swarm season is over for my area. So I'm pretty much already 90% of the way through the curve of swarm season. I might go into the hive one more time and just take out a couple frames of brood, move them up to the top, and put comb frame in or honey frames in again, just to give her another 10 more days to lay on. That gets me to the end of May. Then I don't have to worry about swarm season. So that's how I do my single brood management when I have time to do that. If not, I just don't put a queen excluder on there, but I still try to do the same thing so she always stays down in that bottom box laying on a frame, and she always has room to go up on that top box if she needs to, if she's one of these super queens that's laying 2,000 eggs for a month, which I have one hive like that right now. So in that case, right now she's already starting to fill up her brood box. She already had 8 frames and 2 frames up on top. So I had to do an emergency on there, pull some of those frames out and put them on top. I had to do that right away here in the middle of April, 2 weeks ahead of time. So I keep her from swarming. If she always has a frame to lay on, chances are they won't swarm as long as there's enough bee spaces in the 2 or 3 boxes that they don't get overpopulated in 1 or 2 boxes. I hope that it makes sense to everybody. So you basically get in your box 3 times: April 1st, middle of April, end of April, then maybe the middle of May, depending on how vigorous of a queen you have. And the chances are you reduce swarming significantly. Um, the easiest way that you don't have to worry about brood management is replace your queen every year. Um, Queens that have never gone through a flow, 99.9% of the time will not swarm as long as they have space. Now, if you have them in a nuke, a brand new queen, they might swarm because they just don't have any room. So I try to requeen every summer. I'll do a summer solstice grafting and replace all my queens after the honey flow. So I'll try to graft right around the middle of June, so the virgin queens are ready right around 4th of July to to merge out of her cell, and I'll pull in honey then, so I don't have to pull out so many boxes. And I'll move the old queen over to my resource hives or to my mating nukes just for resources in case the virgin queens didn't get mated and didn't make it back. I still have queens that I can throw back in there and I'll overwinter, with a few second year queens, just knowing in the springtime I might want to replace or really watch those hives for swarming capabilities, doing that management check. So that's my little spiel. I hope everybody understood that. So the big key is always having comb frames to put down in between two frames on each side of brood. So once you get into May, you can go, if you have like 7 brood, you can go put in 2 brood, a comb frame, 2 brood, comb frame, and a single brood. You won't have to worry about the brood getting cool because by then it's warm. So anybody up north, way up north, can probably still do from day one. Or May, instead of April 1st, it might be May 1st. People down south probably got to move it up into February or maybe even January if you're all the way down in Florida. But you can still do that same general procedure. Hey Nancy, hey Russell, hey Tiny Creek, hey Pete. So I want to say hi to everybody. So anybody have any questions on that? I don't think so. So I don't know how many people knew that kind of type of management. Old time beekeeper, 3rd generation taught me that. Probably my 2nd year of beekeeping, and it seemed to work pretty good. I mean, they still might swarm on you. Some queens' genetics are just swarmy. Um, he always told me one time, if you catch swarms, that queen's a queen that likes to swarm because she swarmed because you caught her. I said, oh, that's a good point. So just a little joke. And so I hope everybody's doing good. I pinned it at the top. If anybody wants to get on, I think it's still pinned. Yeah, it's still up there. So yeah, so I didn't do any beekeeping today. Um, it was really windy today, and when it got cloudy, just was a kind of a raw day. Not one of the best days at all. So I'm sure the bees are still going crazy inside the box. But right now I got 22 hives, but one hive I stripped down and is being a cell builder. And tomorrow I'll be grafting. So tomorrow I'll go into that cell builder and get it set up properly. I'll put a plastic non-comb frame, foundation frame in the center of it. I'll know that's the frame I need to pull out to put the graft in. And then I'll put down 2 pollen honey frames on each side of that frame, and then a couple brood, cap brood outside of those frames. And if there's more brood, that's great. If more brood, there's not, that's fine. And then I'll put a honey frame and a honey frame. That'd be pretty much my setup. Make sure there's pollen on both sides of the graft. And then I'll go into my that queen I talked about that's going I had 10 frames of brood here just last week. I'm grafting from her. Now since I retired, I can handle 20 hives with good 20 good queens that's going to be laying as early as possible because I have time to manage them, which I just kind of explained. And then I'll graft from her. It's supposed to go up to 60 degrees. Since it's a little cool for grafting, it's just the schedule. I mean, last week when I set up the cell builder at the very beginning, they had it 70 degrees today for tomorrow, 71 degrees. So weather's changed a little bit. And I'll go into that frame. I'll bring a wet, damp, warm, damp towel with me in a cooler, small cooler. And when I go out and pull out the frame, 4 days ago, I put a frame right in the center of her brood box, right in the center of her brood. So she'll start laying on that frame, and I marked it with a piece of duct tape. And I'll go ahead and go in, pull that frame. I know that's got the all the eggs and half day larvae on it that she laid. The first that day four when I put it 4 days ago when I put it in there, and I'll lay that damp towel over it to carry it into my honey room. Previously, in my honey room, I'll have the heater on, and I got one of those reptile pads that I set down on my grafting table, and I'll have that on, and that gets up to 92 degrees, 90 to 92 degrees. So my grafting cells are easy beasy cups will be nice and warm already at 90 degrees. Then I'll graft. I'm going to do, I think, 28 cells, somewhere between 26 and 30 cells. I'm going to graft. And when I go back out to the cell builder, I'll do the same thing. I'll make sure that towel's warmed back up. I'll place the towel over it, the damp, warm towel over the uh, frame that I just grafted. Open that hive up, pull that black frame out, and place that one in and close her up. And that'll be the deal. And I won't check them because I'll know that I already know that cell builder does not have any queen cells in it. I checked it yesterday and they didn't anything they had started. I shut down. And there's two frames. I'll double tomorrow morning when I go to check set it all up. I'll check for us any more cells that they made, emergency cells. But I'm pretty sure I already got them all. I'll just do a double check. And basically in 6 days, I know there's larvae 3.5 larvae a half day old, day four. So in 6 days they should all be capped. And if it's a nice warm day, which it should be, because that's the following week, should be in the mid 70s. It's supposed to be 70 near 80 all next week. I'll just take that frame out very gently, keep it in the same position because right then at day 9, the queens you have to be very gentle. Any little shaking and you'll shake the queen off the top of the cell where all the food is. And I'll place each cell in an incubator at 92 degrees. And if I get a real good take and get all 28 or 30, I'll go ahead and not graft again, but I only get 50%. I'll graft another 50%. Hey, Nancy.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm okay. I have my camera off because I'm in bed, but I was
Yeah, I
gonna,
see that. So you can turn your camera on.
yeah. It's just dark. So I was looking here. and I was going to read you some questions because I think there's questions coming in, but I don't know if you can see them.
What's your question?
No, there are questions coming in the comments. Do you want me to read them to you?
Um,
Do you have any secondary yards? Do you have any out yards?
I have one out yard,
All right.
but right now there's no bees on it because that's the one that had the Sterling leak last year and killed all 5 hives.
What was this? What's a
And
sirloin leak?
it's like they make plastics out of.
Uh huh.
So this hive's like a half mile from the Ohio River, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a Monsanto plant there. It's actually closed now, but it wasn't closed last late summer. They
Oh,
bring in they bring in tanker trucks of on the train of sterling. It's a chemical.
yeah,
It's a nasty chemical,
yeah.
and it's a respiratory. And they had a tank leak,
Was
and
I think that was on the news.
yeah, it was on some of the news.
So you had 5 hives near that location that you lost.
Yeah, just up on the hill, on top of the hill from the valley.
Uh,
Okay,
all
I
right.
see Russell's question now.
Now there's yeah. You got that one about the queens?
Yeah, so I'm going when I catch swarms, I'm going to put them in over there, and then in the summer solstice when I graft, I'll replace those queens because I have no history on any of those queens. You
Okay.
know,
Um, there was another one here from Tiny Creek. When you pull a bunch of supers, how do you store them where no ants or anything gets to them while you extract?
um, I don't have any brood in mine because I use metal queen excluders, and I don't let the queen up in my supers. And I don't run a top entrance for a virgin queen flying in, which could happen too.
So I think what they're
Um,
saying here is when you pull them off the colonies and then you're storing them for whatever amount of time between pulling them off the colonies and extracting. How do you keep ants and whatnot? How do you keep them clean or fresh or
yeah,
guess that's
I
what.
it's not an issue for me because back of my barn,
Mm-hmm.
I have a honey room that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty tight. I made sure I put 2 by 4 walls all the way around the existing barn walls I already had and sealed it all off. So I store all my honey in those rooms
Oh,
before I
okay.
extract them.
Um,
So I don't get ants on them. If I did, I'd probably use that permamoth and just put them around the bottom box,
yeah,
not so it wouldn't get in the honey.
yeah.
Well, I know when I pull the honey, I'll put a piece of plywood down on the floor,
Yep,
down
yep,
on the ground, and
yep,
then I'll put my boxes on top of that plywood. And then I usually put another piece of plywood on top of the boxes when it's out in my yard.
yeah.
And they're pretty sealed up then. If you got decent boxes, don't have any holes or warps or
Right.
issues, and then ants won't be able to get nothing about, ants won't be able to get into them.
Yeah, I have a stainless steel tray that I had made by a guy who makes things for beekeepers. So he already, I had him make 8 frame, and it's really tight onto that super on the bottom.
Right,
So it really, but
right.
I run my honey through the freezer. It holds 5 mediums. I have 2 freezers, and I make sure th're cleaned out. But each hold 5 mediums, supers. So it comes off the hive, and then it goes into the freezer, which I tested. It's a -6, for 7 or more days. So that's going to kill
Wow.
anything. Yeah. So now I got 10 supers, right? That are run through the freezer clean. It can't be an old freezer that doesn't run at a -6. It has to be,
right,
and then I'm able, so then I've got 10 supers that I can stack, and I can put 10 more supers in the freezers, for another 7 days or more. But
right,
I can't really, I do it all myself, and I really can't extract 10 supers in one. I'm only good for about 120 pounds a day in extracting. That's cutting, that's uncapping, extracting, bucketing, and then putting the wet supers back out in the yard. So I was able to let supers that ran through the freezer sit for a month in my garage, completely sealed up, and nothing happened.
right.
They tell you all these horror stories where you need to do in 3 days and all that. But if you run them at -6 for 7+ days, my experience was they were fine. So now I've got 10 on deck to extract, and I got another 10 in the freezer. So that's just how and I only have 3 supers per hive. So if, I extract the first one, second one's in the deck, third one's on, I take the second one out. Now I got 2 on the hive, one on deck, none in the freezer. So it's just kind of like a rotating, you get your system about you. But that's what I do for extraction. I
Yeah.
don't know if that.
You can, I was going to add, you can use a telescoping lid as your bottom, put it upside down. You can
Yep.
put your supers on your lid. That works really well too, of sealing that bottom up so ants can get in it. And
Yeah.
then you can stack them. You can actually leave them outside, and if you stack them and make sure they're stacked square on each other, and just put a good lid on top of it, you're good up to a few days, couple days. You can just leave them outside if you want.
Yeah, I don't know, but you and I are up north. I don't know how those southern guys would be. I don't know, where is Tiny Creek. I should have this memorized by now, but I don't know how those southern guys. Oh, I see Tar Heel. I see Randy on here. Um, I think it's probably a different situation for them southern guys to hold
Yeah,
honey like that, to hold supers. I bet they can't do what we do up here in the north on a cement
right.
floor. I
Well,
bet they got.
if you extract them within a few days, you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, I only pull what I know I can extract in a few days, and then I'll
Uh,
pull. Then I'll pull more. I don't pull all one day.
no, no.
That's too much for me. I run a deep and two mediums for every hive if it's a good hive,
Uh huh.
and that gives
Yeah,
them my 80 to 100 pounds.
yeah. And if you extract more often, especially those guys that are running Demaries, if you're running the Demarie, the rolling Demarie, you're going to be extracting. Not only going through every hive every 7 days, but you should be extracting probably every fifth day,
Right,
because
right.
you're not gonna stay ahead of it if you don't constantly
Because you're pulling
keep.
honey out of that. Oh yeah,
Yep, yep,
all the
yeah.
time.
Keith Jourdain, he's the guy that invented the process that Charlie and I use. He's from up here. He was in the club that we were in, and he extracts. He's either in his hives or extracting every day of
Right.
the calendar, of the season, the bee season, from the middle of June, the end of June, all the way till, geez, I don't know what he has, August, September. But
Right.
it's a lot of work. um
Yeah. I'll pull about 5 hives and I'll extract the deeps that same day. In fact, right after I pull all the boxes, the first thing I do, I actually have two piles when I before I pick them up. I have a deep pile, then I'll have my medium super piles, and I'll move my
mhm.
medium supers into the honey room, and I'll move the deeps in, and I'll extract those deeps right away, and I'll put them right back on those hives I took them off as wet honey boxes.
Yeah, yeah, I try to. I do one of two things. I either take them all down in the back and let them sit, or I put them right back on if I know I'm still gonna pull some flow. Now, did you say you extract out of deeps?
Yeah, I extract the deeps right away and get them back on
Oh,
hives. I got them all down in a single box then because I run single box management.
yeah, and this, yeah, for
So
your
I try not to keep them in that single box more than a few hours, a half a
yeah,
day.
I don't pull any of the deep. The deeps are brewed for me. I don't extract anything out of deeps.
And then I'll probably then won't run any of the mediums unless I only if I have an odd number for some reason, I'll run one or two frames, but that's it. And then the next day or the day next day, I'll pull five more, do the five boxes,
Yeah,
and then when I get done doing all the deeps and getting everybody into a double deep, then I'll start extracting the all
the
the medium
mediums.
supers. That's what I typically do.
Yeah, I see Stephen Rogers here has he lives in Memphis. He's building a sealed room with a dehumidifier to help with the moisture
Yeah, that's a good
content.
idea. I have a dehumidifier in my honey room that I run just when I have the honey in there.
Yeah, I well the freezer does that for me. The freezer dehumidifies and
Yeah,
I don't I don't I try not to wait till everything's capped because I can pull moisture out of uncapped faster than you can pull moisture out of capped. So I don't wait till mine's all capped. I mean there's some caps on there, but the 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 least capped is better. It has less moisture for first off, and then the freezer pulls all that out as well.
right,
So
right.
I mean that works for
The
me. I'm
deep
only running, 30 hives or whatever, so
So DC said he runs single deeps through winter. Half my hives are singles and deeps through winter time, and half of them aren't. It all depends how much honey they got. But my hives always have almost always has two deeps on them. It all depends if I got a queen excluder in between. So when the flow starts, I put the queen excluder in. I make sure the queen's down at the bottom, all the broods down at the bottom. Um, frame empty comb frames that she can lay on, and then I'll put the deep box on top for them to fill up with honey, basically, and for me to use. If there's any frames not comb frames that aren't being used, I'll put them down in the bottom box for that method I used for brood management, which is swarm management.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I'll put either another if I don't have any more comb frames, which right now I'm to the point every double box has comb frames, but I have no extra for all my honey hives.
Yeah, Russell Koopman, he does what I do. I there's no way I can wait till I got fully capped frames. I don't
Yeah,
even
I don't either. In
yeah.
fact, I'll do this if it's not even any capped or just a little capped. I'll shake it, and if it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
come out, then I'll
Shake
test it. And as
shake
long as it's
test.
18 or lower, I'll mix it in with the rest of my honey. That's 16 and a half.
I'll be right back. Hold on. I know you
All
can't see
right.
me, but I'll be right back.
I know DC has a huge moisture issue. He needs a double dehumidifier. He needs one for outside too. But yeah, so when I run double single brood management, and then after the honey flow, I'll put the second deep back on without the queen excluder and start feeding them. And hopefully, um, she should still be down at the bottom box, and um, all the honey, all the sugar water honey, funny honey's up on above her. And before winter hits, I'll make sure all the honey's in the center frames and empty comb or whatever's on the outside frames. So when they move up through the hive, they're moving up through the honey versus empty frames or partial honey frames. If the hive if I have a hive that's only got like four frames of honey, and another one's got 10 or nine, I'll steal a couple from the 9 or 10, put it into one that only has four. So they have, I want every hive that has a double deep on them have at least 6 honey frames, preferably like 7. If I can't do that, I'll bump that hive down to a single box, and then I'll just make sure I have a lot of sugar on top of them to get through winter. And I'll use those 4 or 5 honey frames to make sure all my other double deeps going through winter have 7 frames of honey
All
above
right,
them.
I'm back. I'm trying to see, like, I'm gonna push some buttons here. So I'm on my tablet, and I'm looking to see where I can turn off my my um mic. I'm not seeing where I can do that.
It
Just in
should be
case
at the
my
bottom of it should be at the
yeah,
bottom of the screen.
and no, I'm on my tablet, and it's not like a regular, yeah. So if I
No,
disappear, I'll come back. But I'm just, oh, here it is. Wait, oh, what's that? Did it disappear?
no,
Oh, oh,
your mic's
huh.
still on.
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
mean,
I'm
just
just afraid. Just if Louis starts barking, I just want to just be able to, like, turn off the
mute
mic.
it,
But yeah, yeah.
right?
So I don't know where that is, but anyway, what was somebody was in here? But anyway, go ahead. What were you saying?
I can mute you. So if you
Oh,
tell me, I can mute you.
well, yeah. If Louis starts going on like barking or whatever, then he's a poodle, so he's still a little touched.
Gotcha.
So I'm
So,
catching up. Go ahead. Sorry, a second.
so what I was saying before, one of my goals is I prefer to overwinter in double deeps versus singles. And the reason is it's not survival reason. The reason is it seems like my hives go into win go into winter a little bit bigger when they're in double deeps versus when I smash them down into a single deep. And when it comes into spring, they seem to be bigger hives early in the spring versus singles. So
Yeah.
I I I don't have a preference one way or another except for that reason. But
Oh, here you
I try
go.
to get all my hives into doubles if I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I put another double. I put a second deep on some of my mine this spring, and it was the right thing to do because those are filling up. Those are going to be both. They're both full of brood. Better. They're doing better than my single deeps or my deeps with mediums on. My double deeps.
Yeah, okay.
But I have a hard time getting them to fill up in the summer. I running double deeps is too much for me here.
Yeah. That's why I like trying to go in the winter with slight not I don't want huge hives because they eat too much, but
Yep.
at least at least a full 10 frames of bees going into winter, or maybe a little bit more, 12 frames of bees. Where on singles, they seem like the queen will stop laying and it'll go down to about 6 frames of bees. And the time you get out of winter, they're down to 4 frames of bees. Where my 10 to 6 frames of bees in February are still 8 frames of bees when it comes to the end, springtime.
I went down to I help a woman down in Havertown, which is pretty much in the um, city limits, kind of. It's not technically Philly, but it's close. And I help her out, and I was down to, like, I don't know, maybe gone down there 2, 3 times a year. And now, then she busted her wrist. Like, she really did a number.
Ooh,
So yeah, so I was down 2 weeks ago, and they were just gangbusters. She had one dead out, one that just was a couple bees hanging out, and then 2 hives. So I did a medium, a deep, and a medium. waited 2 weeks, which was today, went down, and I was able to pull 2 splits and a 5-frame resource hive, which the oldest queen, I put the oldest, I don't know if this was the right thing to do, but I did it anyway. She had a green queen, and then there was a new queen, unmarked, unclipped. So I
Right.
marked that one blue because she's this year.
Right.
She's an over, I think she's an overwintered queen, but I don't know that for sure, so I can't mark her green, right? I
Was
don't.
your green? Is your green queen clipped?
Yes. Yep. And then the other
Okay.
hive had an unmarked, unclipped queen. So she's not from this. She can't be from this year because the conditions. There's no way they made a queen. She's from last year, but overwintered queens are a premium up here in the north, and I can't. I don't want to sell her as an over. So anyway, I mark her blue,
Well,
right?
your blue queen, she might be a dud. She might not be made it well.
Oh, she's mated well. Oh, she
Oh,
laid
she
up.
is?
She laid
Okay.
up. She laid up a medium, a deep, and a medium. Well, everything except the first medium that was on the bottom board had some brood in it,
Right.
eggs, but the deep and the medium above it, they were both packed. So we stripped off. I just took two colonies. It took a medium and a deep off two, and then I took the old queen, that green queen, and put her in a 5-frame box with 2 frames of feed and brood, like whole slab. I gave her a whole slab, a whole deep of brood and 2 frames of food, lots of bees. So
Right.
I put her in the 5-frame because I figured this is what my thought process was, and if anybody has any ideas on, but I figured since she's an old queen, meaning she's overwintered at least one winter, that if she peters out or they swarm her, well, she's clipped, but or they roll her, I'm only she's only in a 5-frame. I left the
Okay.
other 3, so there's 3 10 frames, and there's 3 new walkaway splits, and she runs 10 frames down there. So those are all going to be fresh queens, blue fresh queens, and then there's one queen that I know overwintered, but I marked her blue anyway. But do you think that was the right thing to put that green queen in a 5-frame box?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if your blue one was well mated and
Yep.
rocking,
Yep.
and see how well she does.
Yeah.
Then you can decide you sell her or
Well,
sell her as a nuke or sell her.
yeah, the lady down, she doesn't want to get involved in any of that. She just wants to, uh, keep. She only has equipment for 4 full 10-frame colonies, and then she has a 5-frame. I call it. We call it a
Oh,
resource.
okay. Yeah. My guess is she's failing and they just left her.
The green one.
Yeah.
Well, no, I split off her. I split a whole 10-frame hive off of her. The green one, I split a whole 10-frame. I split. So there's 2 colonies. When I walked in that yard today, there was 2 colonies. Big colonies. One was the green queen, one was the blue queen. And then I
Okay.
made 3, so she has a total, the blue queen, I kept her in her colony. I made 3 new colonies, and I put the green queen in a 5-frame box.
Okay.
Do you get that? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I put the green one. I figured I didn't let the so this is what I, at the last minute, I had the lady go get the 5-frame box. I said, let's put the green queen in the 5-frame box. and do a third walkaway split with her eggs larva.
How many frames are in that five? How much brood is in that 5 frame
So
box? Just one?
one
Okay.
full deep frame of slab. It was a complete full slab of brood,
Okay.
and then the other frame has half brood, like half, both sides were half, and then there was two frames of food, nectar, pollen, and then two empty, completely empty, no drawn comb or nothing.
Right. So she has 2 weeks before that nuke will swarm to just to
She's
find
clipped.
out.
She's clipped.
Yeah.
She's in the city. My girl, this is very
But
city-esque down there. So I don't want any swarms hanging from any trees. Like they're all
but
clipped.
that's what I'm not worried about. But in 4 days, if she's still a good queen, there should be 4 frames of brood in that box.
Yeah, yeah. So then I
And
don't know what.
if there isn't, then that queen's no good. But there is, then I would go into one of the splits you made and put that queen in, put that whole 5 frames in there.
She's out of equipment. Well, so the gamble, my gamble is that the green queen that's in the 5 frame box is my backup. Say out of the three walkaway splits, I don't get a queen back. I don't.
Right,
What they're gonna make. I'm guessing they're gonna make anywhere from 5 to 10 cells in each one of those colonies. They're
right.
gonna make. So then on the 30th, I got to go back and pull all the queen cells down to two. I'll leave two, and then
Well,
in
and
another. Mm-hmm.
I would go into that 5 frame and take one of those brood frames out and put them in one of your splits and put an empty comb in there or two,
Yeah,
just so you buy another 2 weeks to make
yeah,
sure you get enough time to
yeah,
get that queen
yeah.
cell and queen made it.
Yup.
Do that same thing I just talked about. Make sure there's always 2 frames of comb
Yeah,
in that 5 frame nuke that she can keep laying,
yeah,
or
yeah.
she's going to try to leave that, or she's going to try to leave that box.
Well, the other thing is that I was thinking is that little 5 framer. I can get them. She has undrawn deep comb that we need drawn out. So I can keep
Okay,
recycling in undrawn comb because they'll pull comb on a 5 frame quicker than a 10 frame.
right, and that'll buy you a couple more days, a day
Yeah,
or
yeah,
two.
yeah,
So you have to do that at least one time. That'll give you 2 weeks. Yeah, you might have to do it 3 times. Get the time you find out you got a mated queen.
yeah. I'm counting on three. I need three of those queens coming back mated.
Right.
So if anybody fails me, I still have that green. I can put a frame of her eggs in
But
and.
I mean, at least 2 times, maybe 3 times, you're going to have to mess with that 5 framer to keep her from trying to fly out.
Oh, you know what? I got another. She has another 5 frame box in the garage. I can put a second level on that five. I can make that a 10 frame.
Okay.
And then
Well,
yeah,
that buys you plenty of time.
yeah. And then if they get too big down there, I'll just bring home. I'll bring home some deeps full of brood. Fit them up.
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
like,
You can use them, or you can put them in the splits to make them bigger splits.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. So this woman, back to this woman, and then I'll get off the. She has a 3-story American holly in her backyard. It's as big as her
Wow.
house. Yeah, that's all. That's where all that honey comes from. It's all.
Yeah.
It
Well,
they.
that's good taste. That's good tasting honey too.
It's about 30-40 feet from her apiary, and it's. I know that's where they get 90% of their nectar is coming off of that holly.
Right. I planted a couple of hollies a couple of years ago, but they're small. And
Yeah.
around here, I got to keep them caged until they get big because the deer will eat them
Oh,
to the ground.
jeez. Yeah.
So
This
I
one,
got cages around them. So they
her,
get up to about 7 feet tall. I believe a cage on them.
yeah, hers is elevated, so the trunk it's trimmed, and she's there's
Hi,
no
Tom
deer.
and Melissa. Yeah,
Oh,
I was
hi
just saying
Tom and
hi to them.
yeah, hi Tom and Melissa.
Maybe he'll hop on. We have the Tom and Tom show and
Mr.
Nancy.
Tom. Tom and Nancy.
TNT.
That's
We have the
funny.
TNT show. That'd be funny.
um, yeah, right. What are we, I'm reading some of the
Yeah,
oh,
I'm not big
DC.
hot.
I wanted to address
That
this a little bit from DC mentioned this last night. Um oh yeah, I was on till 10:30 last night. I told my husband I was going to bed early tonight. So DC's checkerboarding, let's see. He talked about checkerboarding, my understanding of checkerboarding is to checkerboarding should be done in the brood box, not the honey supers. Do you
I will not check aboard a brood box. I will not separate that brood. I'll put one frame in if there's two brood frames on each side.
see? I'll put undrawn foundation smack dab in the middle of my brood box in the flow, like before I
You
put my
in the float, if it's warm out, you can do that.
yeah,
Yeah, I
like
didn't bring that up, but if you're early in the season, I would recommend not putting an
no,
uncombed
no, not
frame in the
now.
middle of the
No,
brood
no, no.
box.
Yeah, no, no. You don't want to split brood now this time of year. But checkerboarding um isn't something that you really want to do in the honey supers.
You don't need to too much. I mean,
Right.
you can once they fill out the five in the middle, you can move the outside ones in
Yeah.
and push the honey out to the
You get
outside. I wouldn't
wonky
call that
comb.
checkerboarding.
It
I don't
turns
checkerboard anything because I don't. Why would you? I don't see a need to ever checkerboard.
no. The wonky it gets wonky comb. Like they do the wave and they do all kinds of stupid
Yeah,
configurations in the brood. Now in the brood box, they'll just pull that comb out to bee space. But in the honey supers, they'll make all sorts of configuration artwork if you checkerboard.
yeah. I'll do a similar thing. I'll make sure at least there's comb frames in between the uncombed frame, the foundation only frame from the outside in.
Yeah, moving them in. Hey Matt. Hi Matt. Haven't seen him in a little bit.
Hey, Matt,
Hey, Matt and Sandy, don't beat my boy Matthew. Who's
Jen,
Matthew?
she's with him. Yeah, so if you do the brood management, you'll have, and then, like I said, in May, I could put a frame in there without comb, just because it's warm and it's summertime, and
Yeah,
they're gonna throw comb on it right away.
yeah. If you want
It's right in
to,
the middle of the brood box. But typically, I like putting food for honey frames, not pollen frames, because bees can't move pollen. But
yep.
honey frames, I'll put right in the middle of the brood box, and it keeps them busy. They got to move all that honey off that frame.
And they should move it up. They always, I
Oh,
think
they'll
they,
move it off in a heartbeat. Yep,
yeah, they
and
move it.
that just buys you more time, and it keeps the bees busy. If you can keep the bees busy, keep the queen frame empty frame for her to lay on. If there's a good chance they will not swarm. They could still swarm, but you took the odds way down.
Yeah. Yeah. Just when you go to, when you checkerboard those supers, just take a look at that when you go to extraction. You go to pull those supers out when they're full of honey. How wavy and banged up they are, and pulling them out, and you
Yeah,
scrape.
one side thick
Yep.
cells, the other side skinny cells.
Yep. Yep. Because they'll pull the wax out way past.
In my opinion, you're better off putting all your comb frames in the center and put your foundation on the outside and move one in.
Yeah.
I would make sure I do the same thing I do in brood. Have two comb, non-comb, two comb, non-comb, two, etc. That'll keep it better comb frames.
Hey, Steve.
I'm gonna add Steven.
Beware.
How y'all
Hey
Oh,
doing?
Steve,
hold on. Let me
do
see.
you
I
go by
gotta go.
Steven or Steve?
Oh, I go by Steven.
Hi, Steven.
All right.
It doesn't matter though. You can call me whatever. Some people call me Captain America for my name, but yeah,
Yeah. When I'm signing stuff, it's Thomas, but Tom's fine.
yeah.
What's up, Steven?
Nothing. I just figured I'd jump on and say hi to everybody. My wife's not
Yeah.
Hello.
here, so I have free
I don't
time.
know where are you located.
I'm in Memphis or South
Okay.
Memphis, North Mississippi.
So you're right in the middle of a flow.
Yeah, yeah. It probably started. I mean, a weekish ago or so.
Okay.
Cool.
It's starting though. It's hitting. We just put some supers on. We'll probably add some more soon, but we did a lot of splits this year, so probably probably not going to get as much honey, but we have around 35 hives now, so we're running.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mention this when I talked about the brood management. That's one way of not splitting hives.
Yeah,
You can, if I don't, I mean, I'm at my 23 honey hives and my 6 resource hives. I don't want to split hives because I have to split hives.
yeah,
So one way of minimizing having to split hives is to manage your hives, the brood. So that's why I want to bring that up because it's a whole different beekeeping when you don't want to grow.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Me and my buddy want to grow. We want to get to a couple hundred maybe, but we're trying this year just to get around 50, and then next year see what happens. But
Well, that's a good plan.
yeah,
Don't jump in too big. And then next year do double, do 100.
yeah,
Yeah, you're either
yeah,
growing bees or growing honey. Like you're either, when you're building up and growing, your honey yields are not going to be,
yeah,
you don't have the draw and comb to begin with. You don't have the colony, the
Yeah,
strength. So, you're building what your first 3-4 years probably,
yeah,
building, doubling 50, then to a
yeah.
100, 120, 180,
yeah.
And then
200.
when you get that big, you need a flatbed truck or something. 'Cause
That'll be a couple
you
years
got
away,
out
but we'll
yards.
see.
You're moving hives.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how I mean the investment in commercial operations, like,
yeah.
that's just crazy.
Yeah, we can't afford all that, but he spent my partner spent around 15 grand or so in equipment, boxes, and everything else, and I'm providing all the time, and I catch a lot of swarms and do room cutouts and everything. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
my friend Paul had it's two of them, and they ran 150, 200 hives between the two of them.
wow,
Pretty much manually.
yeah,
Both having pickup trucks where they could put hives or a small trailer they could pull to put hives on when they go pull them back to Paul's place to extract them off and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, I can't imagine with your job, you don't have much time, right? Because you're in the
Well, I'm
office.
retired now as of
Oh, you
Friday,
retired?
last
Oh,
Friday.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
oh, congrats! Because
Yes.
you were an engineer, right, or a tech?
Yeah, I was an electrical engineer.
Yeah, so I'm a field service engineer, but I work on the robots inside a hospital, so I'm on call 24/7.
Oh
Most
wow.
weeks most weeks I only work 20, 30 hours, but you have to be available all the time. That's the
Yeah.
pro and con of it, right? So I
Yeah.
have my
Right.
job's super flexible, and I get to play with bees more than I probably should. But
Right. But you never know when you're going to get called in, especially the weekends.
yeah, but you get 2 to 4 hour kind of window. So if you get a call, I can be like, okay, well, I have to go in an hour or something and go up there.
You have time to
Well, that's
prep.
good.
You can
Yeah,
shut
That
things
means
down in
whatever
the
you're doing,
hive.
you can shut down and
Yeah.
clean
yeah.
up.
I keep an extra shirt and deodorant in my car at all times, so I can just run up.
Yeah.
You might need a gallon or two of fresh water just to pour
Oh
over
yeah,
your head.
oh yeah. Sometimes you're out there in
Yeah,
the summer
Steve.
and it's all sweaty.
When I was working full time, yeah, that's why I was only doing when it's honey time. I was just doing 5 or 6 because I'm doing it in the evening time,
Yeah.
right after work.
Well, when I started beekeeping, I was on second shift at a warehouse as a controls technician, and I mean, so second shift wasn't bad because I could work my bees in the morning, then go to work.
Yep.
Although every now and again you catch a swarm in the afternoon, and I wasn't able to get it, but now I'm like I got plenty of time to do this stuff.
Right. And I'll have plenty of time now too.
Yeah.
So
Tom,
I
it's
might pull.
official. I can't believe it. It's fine. We were all doing the countdown with you here. It slipped up. It slipped
Yeah,
past.
Friday I went in for like 4 or 5 hours, and that was it.
Wow.
Nice.
That must feel so nice. You're getting to start
And they had a
third part of your life
they
now.
they had a little party for me at lunchtime, and then I left after lunch.
Yeah. Cool.
So
Um,
yeah,
so looking at
this is
the
my
go ahead.
this is day 2.
Nice.
Oh, the end of I got you end of day 2. Stop counting days, Tom. Doesn't matter
No,
anymore.
it doesn't matter.
Just stay busy in your retirement so you don't die off too early. That's what I tell all my buddies.
Yep. Yep. Not like the old generation. They retired and died a year later. They had
Yep.
nothing to do. So
Well,
Tiny
that's
Creek here. I'm looking at the comments. So what do you do with the honey supers that you've pulled but moisture content brought down? Well, leave them on, unless you have a freezer or dehumidifying room. Tiny Creek, just leave them on. How do you keep bugs from
yeah.
getting
I
in
mean,
them? The bees will keep the
I'll,
bugs out. Leave them on.
yeah, leave them on until you're ready to pull them and extract them.
Yeah.
Because you want to extract them. I wouldn't wait more than 4 or 5 days because you'll start getting eggs hatching out that might be in them from wax moths or small hive beetles.
Yeah, so Tiny Creek, in order to keep ants in the moisture, you need to leave them on the hive. Why would you pull why are you pulling them off the hive is the question, I guess. Is
Yeah.
it a time issue? Is it a like let us know why you're pulling them off.
Well, you might be out of boxes,
Well,
and if that's the
yeah.
case, pull them, extract them, and put them back on.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the best way to do it. That's yeah. That way you can keep your equipment numbers down. You just extract more often. Hey Dot House,
Right.
happy birthday! Is it Dot House's birthday today?
Steve's
Somehow
birthday?
it's somebody's birthday today. It was mine yesterday.
Uh, Yeah. I think I said happy birthday to you.
You did. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's Dot House's birthday. It's some house on. Sometimes in the South, humidity. Okay, so here, Tiny Creek. Here's an answer. Well, sometimes in the South, the humidity doesn't allow for it to be capped by the bees. The humidity doesn't allow it to be capped by the bees. I don't know what that means.
It's too humid in his area.
So they
So
don't cap
schools
if
don't.
it's. Thanks, Dot House.
Usually, if bees don't cap, that's more of a genetic thing than I think humidity is.
I
You'll
think
you'll find out that every beehive in the United States is between 52 and 57% humidity in them.
no matter where,
Down in
north.
the south, they get it down that low, and then because I did some testing for my way I kill mites.
Right.
And
Yeah.
even like Todd, where his humidity's 10%, he was shocked to find out his hives were 52 to 53% humidity in them, even though the outside air is 10%. Bees like their hives right around low 50s, 50% humidity.
Yeah, they like it. Like when we're in the thick of it, you know, when it feels like someone's putting a wet towel on your face up here in the Northeast, the bees are digging it. They just
Yeah,
love
we get high
humidity.
humidity too during the summertime. But
Uh,
I think uncapping of honeys is a genetic
yeah, I
trait.
don't think that has anything to do with humidity, right?
I don't either.
I don't think capping or uncapping. Um, but uncapped honey is less moisture than capped. Capping holds moisture in. The
Right.
uncapped
Once,
honey.
yeah.
So if you can pull it before it's, you can now do the shake test or do your, you know, your what's it called? Your fractometer?
Yeah, your
The truck,
refractometer.
yeah.
Refractometer. Yeah, you go.
Refractometer. Yep.
Yeah, do your test on it. But I mean, if it's coming in okay, and I mean, running it through a freezer is just for me. I mean, it's just it checks all the boxes. You know, it gets rid of all the critters, brings your humidity down. It's and then I bring it up to temp by, you know, storing it in the garage, stack them in the garage, and I bring them up to, you know, back up to whatever 80 degrees in July, and then that flows right out.
Yeah. And I would think if you're in a high humidity and that honey is uncapped, it's just going to be absorbing that humidity.
Yeah, it's gonna be wet. It's gonna stay.
It's going to be really wet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Then,
down
if
here
you're
we
taking off
get 19%.
if you're taking off wet honey, you're going to have to put those in a dehumidifier room
Yeah.
or a freezer.
or a freezer. Well,
Do you,
you're going
or
to have
your
to.
air conditioned house? Like, can you guys like down south? I mean, can you, you know, stack it in an air conditioned room in your house? To
That,
Yeah,
that's what
just
I
that would
did
work
last
too.
year. I kept it in the house, about 10 supers, 15 supers in the house, and then had a dehumidifier in the room going, and then I extracted it after that, after it got down the right moisture content. But that's why me and my partner are building the honey house, with the little dehumidifier room for that next year, or
yeah,
this year, I should say.
yeah. That sounds cool.
Yeah, that sounds good, Stephen. Yeah, I mean that's why I built my honey room so I can do my grafting, do all my honey in a controlled environment.
Are you gonna put drains in the? Are you building it from scratch, or are you converting?
So he's got a big, I don't know, 40 by 60 shop or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm building the dehumidifier room inside of it, and then try to I'm gonna try to section it off, and then I'm gonna build a drain for the dehumidifier to
Yeah,
automatically drain through. And then the problem is he's gonna have to cut through concrete if he wants to put an actual drain in for the
yeah,
you know for all the honey extraction
yeah,
part of it. So
Right.
I don't know. We're looking at another year or two before we actually build the actual honey house, but
yeah.
this will be good for right now.
Did anybody ever see uh Mr. Ed's honey house? How he has
Oh
that
yeah.
drain. It's
He's
so that drain he has running through the center of the room and it goes outside. Like it doesn't go through a septic system, or you know, you don't want any honey going through your sewer system, but it's an open drain that runs
right.
outside the building so all the bees can just clean all that up. I mean that I think is a great concept. Mr. Ed, he has a video on it.
Yeah, I
He's
think
got a
that
beautiful
depending on where
honey
you're
room.
at, it may not be legal up north, but down south, we don't care about legalities and stuff, so it's all right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know why it would be. Well, I don't think it. Just thinking of code and whatnot. I mean, I don't. That's gray. Considered gray. That would be gray water for us up here. It's not sewage.
Yeah.
Like it's just wax honey and water. So we can't put gray water in the sewer system. But yeah, I don't know. That's getting too technical. But
Right.
it's a cool concept.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
airflow is
more.
definitely part of dropping your humidity.
Yeah. Yep.
And drones, I know that drones act as dehumidifiers in the hive as well, and they're strengthening their flight muscles, and they're going to town in the hive. They also help dry out honey, so that's another advantage of having drones. They get that
Right.
air. They really circulate air as they're strengthening their flight muscles in the hives.
Yeah. I wonder how many worker bees it takes for one drone.
What?
How many worker bees equals one drone? And they're
Oh,
flapping.
I knew that. I know it. They actually compare it to a queen. It's the same. Oh, I know the answer to this. I have the answer to this. I just don't have it in front of me. But they compare how many drones, the energy it takes to make a drone to making a queen. I think is comparable. I
Okay.
think that's how they did it. I'll look that up in my stuff here from my drone class. But they talk about the energy it takes to. That's why they'll. So that's another reason why they cannibalize drone eggs first, because if the colony is in a decline for health or resources, it's got to cut the drones first.
Right. I don't vent holes in the top of my hives. For the biggest reason, I don't want virgin queens coming in, and I don't want small hive beetles and wax moths in that
Right.
entrance during the
Yep.
nighttime. What I will do is take a penny nail and crack the inner cover, small, but just a small penny nail in the back of the hive so air can flow cross through the honey and
Yeah.
out the front. And that's small enough that the wax moths and hive beetles can't get in. And that's enough of a vent. Across that whole back, just probably an eighth of an inch high.
I've offset my supers a 1B space already in the past.
So I've already used a penny or a nickel if I didn't have any more nails
Yep.
temporarily.
Yeah. Yeah, I used
Like
pennies
just
a couple years. There's pennies all over the place one time. There's still some stuck to the boxes. Hey, ain't ever gonna come out.
yeah, DC that's good. If you got them screened, a small screen, that's fine. That's clear. That's an open hole that's screened versus just a hole.
Yeah, yeah. That's not an entrance or right.
Yeah.
And I think DC
So
clarified that checkerboarding too. Checkerboarding,
yeah.
he had he has already has drawn comb, so that's not. I don't think that's why he doesn't have the wonky comb because he's already got it started. Checkerboard when I think of checkerboarding, I think of fresh foundation going in.
Right.
Hey, that's the reason I popped on. I chased the rabbit and I forgot all about it. But have y'all ever tried popping mediums frames inside of a deep super, like checkerboarding in between the deeps to get some easy comb honey before? That way they build on the bottom of the shallow frames and you can just cut it off.
No, but you
They'll make
can't. You
drone.
could if you want.
They'll make
Well,
drone. What do
if
you?
you pop it up above the excluder, right? And someone was telling me, one of the old timers, he's like, instead of, because I was telling him, I was like, I want to do comb honey, And I was showing him some of those, fancy frames they have. He said, "Heck, I've done that before, but I've just popped a shallow frame in between two deeps,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
build on the bottom of that shallow,
Yes.
and you can just cut it off."
Yeah, but
Yes.
Stephen, that frame with no fishing line or line going through it might not go through an extractor. Might,
Oh yeah, no, you cut it off beforehand. You
He
cut it
wants
off before you put
comb
an
honey,
extractor.
Tom.
I just want
He's
comb.
he's cutting it
okay.
off for comb.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, that worked great for comb honey.
It's
Yeah.
easier than buying the frames, is what I was thinking, and that's the whole reason I popped on here earlier, was to ask that question, and I forgot it.
Yes, that's
But yeah,
correct. You can
Yes.
that's the way they used to do it. The old
yeah,
timers used to do
yeah.
it. So yeah, for sure. That should work for you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
carry
fact.
comb honey.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear all that. Yeah. Yeah, no, that'd be that. It's about the perfect height too. It works out good.
That's what he said, because like I said, he was 75 years old or something. I was talking to him about it. He'd been doing it 40 years, and he's like, "You don't need to buy a $20 frame for that. Just do it
Exactly.
this way." I was like, "Oh, I
Yep.
never thought about that before." You just cut it off the bottom, and you extract the medium or shallow frame, and you're good to go.
Yep.
He said, just don't do
Right.
two at a time, because then they'll build crossways instead of the way you want
Yeah.
it to. So I was like,
Right.
okay,
And
Yeah.
don't cut it
You
off
can
in the
maybe
yard.
checkerboard those with comb frames.
yeah.
Yeah, don't cut it in the
Yeah.
yard either, because then you're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
cause a whole mess. Tom's politicking here. They have Corey Stevens is coming out to their club on the 26th. There's still seats available. Tom, put your club site on so people can click right on it and get that class filled up with Corey Stevens.
Yeah, I don't know. Tom had a question about they might build drone comb, but if it's above the queen excluder,
Yeah.
they
Yeah, that's Tom.
probably
That's what I
won't.
thought. I thought he was saying that too in the brood box, but they won't. They won't. I don't think they'll build drone. And even if they do build drone, they're not going to lay in it. They could just get more honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like he said, it doesn't present as well in the
Yeah, that's true.
presentation of comb honey. But I don't think they would do that. So they might. I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm gonna find out here in a few months, or in another week
Yeah,
or
Yeah.
so.
tell
Yes,
us.
I'll find out they start doing it.
Tell us. I've put mediums in deeps already, but and then I just leave them there for drone. But it's not in the
Yeah.
supers. Use them for drone mite control, and then cut some after they rebuild it. Yeah, but
They won't.
we're not
They won't
putting.
put.
Go ahead.
They won't make it drone because I put frames in there that doesn't have the foundation in them, and they for my comb honey, my medium supers, and I've never seen them put drone cells in my medium frames.
Oh,
It's
just
got to
the
start
cell
a strip.
size. Yeah, Tom, we got it. We figured we got you. Just the cell size.
Yeah.
You don't want to put your drone. You don't want brood comb moved from the brood boxes up into the honey supers.
No.
It just makes for dirty honey.
Well, then you have to store. You have to worry about storing them too.
I was carrying comb honey up here, and I do markets up here outside of Philly, and I just couldn't sell it. I did a little. I mean, I did a little bit, but lugging it from market to market to market till I sold it was not pretty. I lost some of my profit margin because of the wear and tear on the comb honey. I just stopped carrying it. I don't do it. I don't buy it, to resell, or I
Yeah.
just don't deal with it anymore. They just don't. I just didn't have a market up here in the Northeast for it.
I only have a few people that ask for it, but I just want to try it.
Oh
My
yeah,
customers
definitely.
aren't educated on it yet either.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
still trying to get them on cream honey.
I can't do that. They don't. They're not into cream honey up here either.
I sell a little bit, but maybe 5%. They
Yeah.
seem to like they seem to like my original flavor versus any flavored either.
Um,
So it's like, okay,
crystallized honey. They ask their they want crystallized honey. They'll ask for that, but they don't know the difference between crystallized and well, they might know the difference, but they don't care about the difference between crystallized and creamed here.
right, it's the
Up
same
here.
thing.
Yeah. I don't sell the comb anymore. I did sell it. I think I was selling it for like $20. Circle hog you know what I mean? The hog comb, the circles. I think I was selling them for like
Yeah,
trying
oh
to
yeah,
sell them.
Ross
Right, yeah,
Ross rounds.
Ross rounds, right. I was selling them for $20, and then from market to market to market, they got so beat up that I kept having to drop. It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I haven't messed ever with Ross rounds. I never heard good things about them.
Mm-mm.
About it's hard to get the bees to even build in them.
Yeah. Oh, they like
Doing it
cream honey
for,
down south too. Oh boy, yeah. When I go down
well,
there
I
for
know they do.
the expo and stuff, I mean it's crazy. That is a good
So
price. Yeah. $20 up here. I'd have probably pushed 25, 30. If it was pretty, Tom, if it was pretty comb honey, like the real pretty stuff, you could get $30 for it. But eh, sitting on a
right.
shelf, like sitting on a shelf, but not tearing down and traveling market to market.
All right, 2x4 sells better than 4x4. That probably, Russell, that probably makes good sense, especially if they're not used to it. That way they're not buying a big commitment
Yeah.
yet. And my smaller cream bottles do better than my 4 ounce does better than my 8 ounce creamed honey. I think that's the same reason they're ready to sample it, give it a try.
Yeah, the charcuterie boards, you know how that I guess they're still kind of in, but they were all getting them for the charcuterie boards, but I never had anybody come back. Like they do it once and then that was done. Like they they didn't come. There wasn't a repeat customer base for comb honey. I guess is what I'm saying. Not like the liquid honey. 2x4. Oh,
Oh,
here's Brian out in Colorado. 2x4. 2x4. Oh yeah, for 20. That's decent. That's a decent price.
yeah, I'm gonna have to try that.
2x4. How many 2x4s you get off a medium? I guess I should know that, but one, two, three, four, six,
Five,
two,
5 to 6, yeah.
like yeah,
That,
two, four,
that's a
six,
hundred
eight.
bucks.
It's
That's a
80
hundred bucks a
bucks.
frame.
Yeah, that's
That's
not
pretty
bad,
good.
Brian. Six, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. $120 a medium. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah,
Sometimes all it
I'm
takes
gonna
is
have to. I'm gonna have to do some more frames with starter strips in them.
eight
So
cuts.
he's out in
Eight cuts.
Colorado, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some ritzy folks up there, in Memphis.
140
No.
$140 a medium frame. Good Lord
Hey,
Louise.
Steven, you're in Music City, Nashville, or Memphis. I mean, right?
Well, yeah, what'd you say?
Memphis is a big music
Yeah,
place.
yeah, it is.
Get them to eat all that creamed honey and 2x4 combed honey.
Cut comb, yeah.
I mean, there's some people that will buy it. I'm like I said, I'm a little south of Memphis. I'm DeSoto County, but I mean, it's right. It borders Memphis or Shelby County. But I mean, there's some richer folks down here. But I mean, still, it's $15 a pound in this area or more, depending upon where you're at and what premium. But even then, there's a lot of old timers who will buy the comb honey, but the younger people are like, nah, not really.
Yeah.
They just like honey, or they'll try the creamed honey. Um,
Yeah.
but comb honey is a select few, and then
Yeah.
even like goldenrod honey down here, fall honey.
Ugh.
We just leave that for the bees because dirty sock or whatever. But there are. I mean, a section of the population, like 10% of the population, that just love goldenrod honey for the allergies and everything else, and I can't stand it, honestly.
No, I
I'm the,
don't
I'm a hor-
start.
I'm a horrible salesman for it because I'm like, look, you can buy this, but just so you know, I don't like it either. So
Yeah.
you can try it, go from there.
Or what do people ask me for up here? They ask
Man,
me for buckwheat honey. Buckwheat honey is worse than goldenrod honey. It is god awful. I don't have it. But
Everybody's taste buds is different. I mean, like
mm-hmm.
one lady bought some goldenrod honey from me and literally said it was the best honey she's ever
Ugh.
tasted in her life, and I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
man, I've never, man, I've gotten like 1 or 2 frames of goldenrod honey in all my years. It's
Yeah,
just always
Joey,
too dry.
yeah.
me again. Joey's
It's just,
on.
maybe this will be the year.
Buckwheat. Oh, Northwest. You can have it. And there was a guy out of the city running. He was selling lanternfly honey. He was
Oh yeah,
marketing instead of being, oh, this is gross and getting rid of it. He decided to market it, and that's that plum smoky flavor. Has a like it's good for barbecuing or something like a
Huh.
the lanternfly honey, and then he created a whole market around it. But it's pretty much gone now. I don't think we have. I mean, aphid honey has always been around, but the actual lanternfly honey, that kind of came and went, maybe in a 3-year circle.
yeah,
I never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
yeah,
Spotted lanternfly. It's just now getting west to Cincinnati in
Oh,
in southeast Indiana. So you probably
well,
got another 5 more years or so.
yeah, I'm from Delaware originally. I'm a damn
oh,
Yankee, as a lot of people down here call me. But um, I've been down here 22 years ish.
oh,
So I moved from Delaware when I was 18. My whole family did to be closer to my
yeah,
grandma down here.
yeah,
But anyway, all that to say, I was used to some of that stuff, but I don't know much about the North anymore. So
yeah.
Yeah, it originated somewhere up northeast and
mm.
slowly been creeping west.
I'd love to get some Tupelo honey of my own, but I don't live near any elevations like that.
Mm,
But because that's the best honey I've ever had in my life is Tupelo honey. I think
hmm.
it's fantastic.
Even better
Yeah,
than sourwood.
Yep, I like Tupelo honey better than sourwood, but they're both pretty good.
So I tasted sourwood and I really liked it, but my brain wasn't able to register the flavor to remember it.
Mm.
Like, I just tasted it on like a toothpick or whatever, and then it just
Oh,
didn't, like, I tasted it, was like, oh, that's good, but then I didn't, it wasn't enough to register in my brain that that's a flavor or a taste that I would remember it.
yeah, I bought some from Bob Benny from a Nobby,
Yep.
some Tupelo and sourwood, and I came back, and my wife makes sourdough bread, so of course, and so like two different loaves, I put one on each, and I cleansed my palate after both of them, and I still like Tupelo better, but they were both
Yeah.
really excellent. So
Tupelo, isn't that a place in Georgia? Doesn't that come from a place in Georgia?
yeah,
Or
North Georgia and the Blue Ridge Mountains, East Tennessee, like between. I'm not an expert, but I think it's like between
yeah,
3,000 and 7,000 feet high elevation
yeah,
wise. I think.
yeah,
that
something like that.
sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
yeah. But it was amazing. It doesn't like I mean the sourwood honey I bought at Nobby from Bob Benny. I still have half a jar or so, and it hadn't even shown the slightest part of crystallization at all because
Hmm.
the counts are different on the sugar levels and stuff, or dextrose or glucose, whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
So Matt, what are you trying? What's Matt trying to do here with? I'm trying a couple shook swarms specifically to make some. Oh, honey, this. Okay, I got you. I got you, Matt. Yeah.
I see Brian's here. I didn't see him earlier. Hey,
Oh,
Brian.
Flower Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on. He's been on almost the whole time.
Man, I missed him.
Yeah. He's the one making all the money on the cut comb honey.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Big
Here's a
Bucks
2x4,
Brian.
$20.
That's what we're gonna call him, Big Bucks Brian. He got a new nickname.
Yeah, he does well there. He's got all his customers well trained, educated. I'm getting there. I mean, I couldn't get him to buy honey hardly 6 years ago, and now I'm running out of honey.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been selling a lot from the house here. Selling a lot to the neighbors. They're finally realizing I'm here.
Yeah, I can't sell it out of the house because I live back at the end of a private drive, 3rd mile back.
Oh.
It's a nice place to keep bees, though, but it's not
Yes.
good for selling, at
Yeah.
the house.
Oh, do you have it out at retail, Tom? You have it out at retail shops?
Yeah, I sell it all wholesale at stores.
Yeah.
I mean, 90%, 90% of it. I mean, I sell a little bit, directly, but not a whole lot.
See, I have mine in a I have honey in one like farm market / retail type of situation. I prefer not to put it on a shelf, one because of the crystallization, and then it'll sit there. I've seen honey from other companies sit on shelves for years,
Yeah,
and
see,
I don't
mine
want
moves.
well, the once it crystallizes, it just sits like I don't want my brand, I guess. I think Brian might be able to help me out a little bit of what I'm trying to say, but I don't want my brand to reflect crystallized honey that sat on some shelf for years. Like
Yes,
I don't want to do that. I'd rather sometimes I'll refresh it. Like if I do have it out at a place, which is rare, I'll refresh it. I'll
right,
trade it out for crystallized, and I'll bring it home and liquefy it again or whatever, or clean it up
right,
or whatever.
right.
But I don't want my brand to be
All my
tainted.
places I sell it um, every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, every trip amount I take out to them.
Yeah, Joey.
I do about a dozen bottles, and they sell it in 2 weeks. So a bottle a day,
Yeah,
each
but
location.
so I don't do consignment, Joey. Like I don't want to do consignment. I do wholesale. So they own it. Brian, yeah, you get what I mean. I know I was tripping all over myself trying to figure that out, but Brian, but yeah, Joey, I don't consignment. I want, I do wholesale. So then the person who owns the store is responsible to
Mark it up.
liquefy it, and they're not going to do that.
Right.
Oh, Stephen
I don't have that. My honey takes about 8 months to. Well, I got some still that hasn't crystallized on me.
Stephen's gone.
Yeah, he dropped off. I don't know if he did by accident or not.
Yeah, sorry I had a call. Nice to
Yeah,
have you on. I'm glad he came on. It's nice to see new
yeah.
faces.
It's always good to have a new face, and
Yes.
I see his post now.
Uh,
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get in more of that comb honey and chunk
yep.
honey.
Now that you got all the time in the world.
Now I can do it. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm already miles ahead from previous years this year. On my beekeeping stuff. Just because I took all my PTO and stuff like that the
Yep.
last month.
Right. All right. I got to get off. I was on till 10:30 last night, and it's 9:30. So I'm gonna
Right.
go. I don't know if I'm having a chat tomorrow night. I have a talk at a retirement home in the afternoon, so I might be talked out, but I'll post it if I do, and then we'll see everybody tomorrow night. If not, have a night. Oh, Burns, uh, StreamYard. They're on Wednesdays,
Yes. Yes.
but I
Greg and
don't
the
know.
team will be tomorrow
Yeah,
at
but
8.
yeah, 8 o'clock. I like to do mine earlier.
Right. I'm just following what Bob was always doing, and
Oh yeah,
he'll be
oh
get
yeah.
he'll be getting on here probably in about 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, there you go. Okay, all
And
right.
then I hop off. When Bob hops on, I hop off. At least that's what we did
Sure,
last week.
sure, sure.
It'd be better if I could just transfer it,
I
but I
know,
don't know how to do
right?
that. What's that?
Yeah, I know, but we can't on StreamYard or
No,
YouTube. We can't do that. So
no.
Bundy, see you tomorrow, Nancy. Okay, I don't know.
Right. Night, Nancy.
All right, good night, folks.
Hey, Joey. I saw you were posting. So, yeah, so I'm really enjoying my extra time off so far. Getting a lot of stuff, not just beekeeping stuff done, but projects done. So, hopefully by the end of the sometime this summer, you'll see a lean coming off that barn going over my hives. That'd be one of my summer projects that I hope to do. That'd be that way I won't have to worry about rain and stuff like that. I better work on them any weather related, except for winter time. Yeah, they have a roof to them, at least 16 of them. 5 of them still won't have a roof, and all my resource hives are in those big horizontal hives on the side of the behind the barn, so they got roofs. So it'll just be 5 hives that don't have roofs over them, weather blocking them. So I heard Mr. Ed talk about that. All his hives that were underneath his shelters that he would build always over winter and survive better than the ones that are in the open. So I think it kind of makes sense. When they're in a tree, they're pretty well protected. So, yeah. I am playing golf Monday mornings, 9 holes. That's one of my hobbies I like doing. Been playing golf my whole life. And I got 4 brothers, so one brother can't make it. He lives in Indiana, about an hour drive. So every Thursday morning, 4 of us will be playing 18 holes of golf throughout the greater Cincinnati area. So Monday mornings and Thursdays will be taken up golfing versus beekeeping and projects. So I think that'd be putting up doing most of the time. Plus, I help around the house a lot. I mean, I do dishes, I do laundry, I do cooking, whatever helps. My wife still works; she's still a school teacher, so I share in with all the everyday responsibilities besides beekeeping. Um, yeah, I think DC, you mentioned that too. Mr. Ed's mentioned that too. That the covered hives do better. All right, Jerry, I didn't know that. Yeah, my wife's gonna work. She just signed a contract for next year. So she's got one more month this year, about end of May. And then she's gonna teach one more. She's a year younger than me, so we both retire about the same age. That's the game plan. She she did talk. She might do one more after that, but I don't think she will. I think it's one more year. Yeah. So last Friday was my last day working for somebody. Now it's all for myself. Anything I do, I decide. I have my own schedule, 24/7, 365 so far. So yeah, I'm liking it. I'm already enjoying it. And I got my hobbies, golf and bees. So that should and I like to stay busy. So doing projects. I got a bunch already lined up to do here and there. Do a little landscaping, build a lean. I might even build one off the backside eventually, but right now that's not on my radar screen. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. School teachers are a different breed. Nah, she keeps me in line a little bit. I keep her in line. I'm probably more well. I keep things tidier than she does. Being an engineer, I like anything in straight lines and stuff like that. Just like my beehives, they're all in a straight line. So yeah, I got to change that background picture. That's a winter picture. I got to put my April picture on there. I just noticed that. I have to work on that. I don't. Yeah. So next week I'll have a updated picture on the back in the background of all the bee stages. I take a picture every first of the month, week of the month of my hives. I've been doing that now for 2 years, just to compare what it looks like from year to year. It's kind of neat. Night, Roy. Yeah, I'm going to be hopping off here at 10 o'clock or earlier, depending on what Bob's doing. He's probably home now eating dinner, be my guess. But I don't see any posting he's on. Yeah, Brian. Last week I was on YouTube and I went to StreamYard, and that doesn't work very good. StreamYard to Studio works a lot better. So, yeah, the only thing I don't have quite figured out is how to do notifications, and Facebook and stuff like that. I don't know if the free version has all those whistles and bells. So I did copy the link and Facebook and the new no lives to the North American beekeepers earlier today, like an earlier ahead of time, but I don't know how to do it through StreamYard. Maybe I can do it through Studio. But that's my next little thing to try to figure out. And yeah, now I have to find a second person to join on me, so we always have talk back and forth. It makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, I hope everybody learned a little bit about brood management versus always having to split your hives and doubling your hives every year when you don't want to double your hives. So pretty much what you're seeing like in that picture, besides my other yard where I run anywhere from 3 to 6 hives. The same can only hold 6 hives, and five to 6 hives. If they're 8 frames, I can put 6, but I only got 3 8 frames. So I do 3 8 frames and 2 10 frames in that yard. Kind of makes it a pain, but that's the way it is. And the stand's not any bigger, and I'm not planning on making it any bigger. I might even move that, terminate that second yard and go somewhere else. There's a lot of cornfields within a mile. There's a big valley between the Great Miami River and the Whitewater River, and I'm just right above the Great Miami River, and that whole big field is all loaded with soybean and cornfields. And I think the spraying um, does a number on those hives. They seem to grow great in the springtime, and then by fall time they just dwindle down to nothing. And it's a little tough. I think it's from the spraying of the fields. But then if I have another yard down in Harrison, Ohio, which is a town just west of me, right on the Indiana border, north and west of me, and they got cornfields close to them too. But it's a small patch, so it might be okay. Not hundreds and hundreds of acres between the two rivers. This year they got flooded big time, but that'll make it really good soil for them again with all that silt off from the rivers. So they would be happy. Yeah, Dave, you're right. Single brood management will teach you how to maintain. I mean, that's basically what I taught there about maintaining your frames. Works for single brood management, and it works for not expanding your bee hive if you want to keep the same amount of bees and not having your bees swarm. I know there's some people that run 5 to 10 hives and they just let them swarm every year. But if you want to maintain a fixed numbers, then you got to do brood management and make sure you always have comb frames available so to keep the queen laying. How do I like the warm style? Seems the bees seem to be doing better in it. Um, one concern is getting airflow during the honey flow through it, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. They still got 2 inches um, to vent the fan through, so it'll be interesting to see if how the bees set up the fan through my little um, worm style method, my entrance. So it's a bigger entrance than I used to run. So hey, let me get him on here. Hey, Joey,
Thought I'd
welcome
come
to
on
my
here.
thing.
Thought I'd come on here and holler at you for a minute.
Yeah, you can holler all you want.
I ain't much in hollering.
Yeah.
Tired, I know that. Bees has about whooped me last week. I just
How's everything?
started calling everybody in to come get their bees. People to order nukes.
Yeah, my pickup's gonna be May 4th. That's why I'm grafting now. Tomorrow, queens should be emerging right around. I'm gonna pull them right around the 27th, a week before, and the queens should be emerging right around the 28th, 29th, 28th, 29th. So then I'll put virgins in them.
Yeah. You know, this has been the
Again,
worst year for me as far as going from a cell to a mated queen. You can tell the cell emerged. It wasn't like they tore it down or anything. You can tell it emerged, but I've had about 50% on returns of mated queens this year. That's the worst year
Wow.
I've ever had.
My last summer was about that, and that was my worst ever. Usually in the spring, I get close to 90%. But by the time I get to July, I'm down to 70%. Last year, I was down to 50, 60%.
Yep. Last year I bet I was 95 or better last year. I only remember one or two nukes that I had to resell, put new cell in it and
Right.
get them going. But this year I've already had to put cells either merge back together or add them with something else or put another cell in them and give them a chance again.
Right. I always do 2 or 3 extra ones just in case for backup. And
Yeah.
I always catch a couple swarms. So if I don't need them, I'll just pinch the swarm queen and put one of those in because I'd rather know the queen status.
Yeah. It could be DC. I had drones in my yard when I started doing all my splitting, but my yard might have been ahead of everything, but my yard was at least 2 to 3 weeks behind their cells.
Yeah, you probably got more predators, more birds.
Yeah, we do.
So now this year I got less birds in my neighborhood. So maybe I'll have better
Yeah.
odds.
I don't know if it'll ever make the video. I do have it recorded, but I went through one yard and it was the small yard that I show sometimes. The it was three colonies or 3 nukes. The first nuke was a good laying queen. She was already had a good pattern and everything. The second one, I couldn't find any sign of a queen, so I gave just give her some more time to see, because sometimes they slow getting started, so you
Right.
can't rush that. And the third one, that queen had every empty cell in that hive laid up, but it was all drone cells. She she wasn't doing nothing but laying drone eggs all over that place.
Wow.
I just all I did, that they were so messed up with capped drones everywhere. I just shook all the bees off right back down in the hive they come from, because I had them on top of a double screen board. I just
Okay.
I just pulled her, pinched her, and shook all the bees back. I said, I'm not even gonna try to requeen these girls. They got their combs so messed up.
Right.
He was
Right.
laying
That's
though.
probably what I've done too.
Every cell I looked at, she had an egg in it too.
Wow.
I've seen them. I've seen them lay some drone eggs when they first get started. It'd be spotty around there, and then she'd get going good and get good pattern. But this one was terrible.
My queen that got mated last September, she started laying this spring, and I actually saw her. She had just laid like 10, 15 cells, and 4 of them were drone cells. And then she started laying, and I checked her a week after that, and she had the whole frame laid up.
Yep.
So 4 of her first dozen or so were drones.
I've even seen them lay 2 or 3 eggs in the same cell.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I've seen them walking around with eggs coming out of her.
She probably had about a first dozen cells, probably had anywhere from 2 to 4 eggs in it. Then she was laying them perfect after that. I actually watched her start laying them good, and I put her back in because she wasn't the same queen that I had going into the wintertime. And then I had my knee replacement, and when I checked them in the spring, I said, "Oh, I don't know about this queen. She's not marked, and she's a brand new queen."
Hmm.
So the hive's doing good. So I think she got made it decent enough.
DC, she's a queen by design, but she's not she no better than a laying worker.
Slave. She's a drone queen. Yeah.
He's
She's an
always,
unmated queen or very, very poorly mated
yeah.
queen.
I was, I was kind of wondering if she ever flew out and got mated because she's laying like crazy.
Yeah, maybe she didn't.
Now,
Maybe she can't.
I had
Maybe
a
she
young
can't
queen
fly.
that could have been it, or she might have had a messed up leg. You know, if she's
Or
got
leg, yeah.
one leg is messed up, she can't measure, so she just everything might be a big sale to her. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah, make sure they got. That's one reason I like to graft too and let the queens emerge out. I can
Yeah,
check their wings. And I can check her 6 legs.
that's a good idea.
Make sure she's good.
I didn't even think about looking at this one. I just grabbed her and pinched her and went on. You know, I was
Right.
tired.
She had one of the two, either a bad wing or like you said, a bad leg. Be my guess. And that
Now,
happens.
I heard somebody say one time, and I, I would like to ask somebody that might know. They say when you got a drone layer like that, and she fills those cells up, and those drones start growing, that they they stretch those cells, and they're not usable anymore as far as a worker cell. You ever heard anything like that?
um yeah, I heard that the cells will go out around in that. Now, not being usable for a worker cell, I don't know.
I don't know how it
I,
would because even if one got bigger, that means the other one had to get smaller or bigger at some time or another. You
yeah,
think they'd all go back to normal.
I would think it would be more of a drone frame versus a worker frame, especially if she laid out the whole frame.
Cause
Some of them,
she had 3 frames laid out. All I put 3 broods in there, and they had emerged. So she had all 3 frames laid out. I'm telling you, it was pretty. Eggs everywhere
wow.
and larvae.
Yeah, my bet is she never flew. Boy,
Probably.
I must be tired. I had a 1970 Mustang one time in my life.
Hmm.
351 Cleveland in it.
That's a good motor.
Yeah, it was a well. It was. I called it a Mustang because it had that Japanese steel in it, and it just rusted and
Yeah.
rusted. I couldn't stop it from rusting.
I had a Camaro back in the 70s, and a buddy of mine had the Torino. Every Torino he had that 351 Cleveland in it.
Yeah,
He went through 3. I used to pick at him bad. I said, because I would beat him 3 or 4 feet through the quarter every time we'd race. And he'd sell that one and get another one, and we'd race, and I'd beat him. He finally bought one. It looked like a clunker, but that thing had a motor in it. And
yeah.
he beat me. He beat me about a car length. I said, well, you had to go through 3 Torinos to find one that actually beat me. And I had a messed up foot, and I couldn't shift good.
Well, my Mustang. I don't know if you heard of Randy Oswald. He was a three-time national IHRA championship,
Mm,
and his younger brother Luke and I were really good friends. And we actually would work in his shop and tear down their dragster engines, and rebuild, test them, and rebuild them. when they were racing. I got to do that as a kid. I was
Yeah.
16 years old, and he went and put a big carburetor. He took my carburetor, my stock carburetor off. He took a drill, drilled 2 holes in it, and then stuck that one on my 351. And I think I picked up 30 or 40 more horsepower.
Yeah.
It was fast.
It would. Hey, if I had an El Camino, it'd be my B truck right now. I'd take an El Camino or Ranchero, either one.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I had 3 brothers that had faster cars than I did. And I had one brother who had a 56 and a 59 vet. But the 56 had a straight six in it, and the 59 had a 283 in it.
283.
Eight cylinder 283.
Hmm.
So there was a lot of cars in my family. My older sister had a Jeep, so we all had something. That was a long time ago. Now I drive a Tacoma truck, a little truck. That's my B truck.
Yeah.
It
I
works.
hate I hate using my F-350 for a B truck. It just don't. I don't like using it for a B truck at all.
Yeah,
Stays filthy.
that's a pretty big truck to be running around through a yard.
Yeah.
289. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
little small block V8. Those are fat. Those are fast engines. So go to the bees and fast cars. I wonder who would win, a bee or a fast car, race car, down a quarter mile, half mile.
I done forgot what it was. Now there's a guy had a little car for sale, had a 289 in it. I went and looked at it, and I wanted it. I was still at home then. And I asked the boy, I said, "Why are you getting rid of it?" He said, "I'm scared of it." And that got me thinking. And like I said, I was still at home then. I told my daddy I wanted to buy it. He said, "Oh no, you're not getting it."
Yeah.
I was going to need his help. That thing, it's squalling tires.
My family, I was son number 4. I don't think my parents cared anymore. 5th child. All
Yeah,
my brothers had
Tom,
faster cars than I had.
I could deal with the F-350 or 250 or anything like that with a good flatbed on it would be nice.
Yeah, that would be. Oh, it's after 10 o'clock. Bob didn't get on.
Yeah, I just looked. He still hadn't come on.
No, and I'm going to shut. Well, my wife's probably already in bed. She gets up early in the morning. I try not to go too much past 10.
Well, it's 10 where you at now.
Yeah, it's 10. You on Central Time, Joey?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's 10. It's not 9. I'm Eastern Time
Oh, you're
now.
Eastern.
DC's on that Pacific Time. He still have to eat dinner.
It's
Or he
just
probably just had dinner.
he's still seeing the sunshine.
I'll go a little bit longer, but I'm not going to go much longer. Yeah, it's 7 p.m.
I just
I
wanted to
know
hop on,
DC.
say hey to you. I didn't know you was on. I just happened to come in the honey house. I just sold some nukes and come in here to update my paperwork.
And I've been filling in. I was kind of filling in for Bob since he wasn't getting on until 10 o'clock. So last week he got on just before 10 o'clock, and I hopped off.
Yeah. I hadn't been able to catch too many of any of the other lives lately. It's either tired, I'm wore out when I come in, or somewhere to be, So
Right, right.
I'm gonna shut everything down here in a couple of weeks, and I'm gonna go to the campground, and I might even leave my phone at home.
Yeah, I do that on Sundays. I don't I don't usually I go not till the afternoon. I don't first time I check my phone on Sundays.
Yeah,
Sometimes I don't check it at all. So you won't get a hold of me on Sundays. That's my day.
yeah, yeah. DC, we used to always say life is what happens while you're busy making plans.
That's right.
Yep.
So, yeah, maybe I might even make. I might later on this year. I think I'm going to even make a road trip down south and visit some of you guys.
There you go.
Some long weekends stuff or long 3 day trips, stuff like that. Do a little sightseeing, my wife and I, and I'll stop by in a couple places.
Yep, you could
Uh,
definitely visit a bunch of us.
right.
And if my camper's here, you'd always have somewhere to stay if it's close enough for where you want to be.
Okay. Yeah, I like not to plan too lot, just wing it. That's the best way.
There you go. When me and my wife used to make those motorcycle trips, we didn't know where we was going to lay down and go to sleep that night when we left.
Right.
We didn't want to book a place nowhere until it got about maybe an hour ish before dark.
Evening time. Yeah.
She'd start getting on there looking, find a hotel close by.
Right. Yeah, that's the
Wherever we
best
land.
way.
Yep. A lot less stressful than trying to get from A to B. You got to be there because you already got reservations.
Right. Right. And man, I would love to go see DC's place, but he's
Yeah.
in a beautiful part of the world.
That's some of the prettiest country I ever seen. And we stayed at several state parks up there, and it was just beautiful.
Yeah. I got to work out there one summer for about 4 months.
Yep.
There's a Hewlett Packard plant there, and I put a lot of equipment in that plant, programmed a lot of equipment in that plant. So my wife's never been out there. I'd love to take her out there sometime.
We stayed at a state park a few days uh, up there, and we were right on a river, and beautiful river on one side, had the mountains behind us. I
Yeah,
remember, like 82 or 84 degrees, and it felt like 70. It was nice.
yeah. Take her to Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens,
Yep.
Mount Rainier.
Saw all
Got all
that.
those mountains all in that region. Plus, you got the Columbia Gorge. That's beautiful right through that area. Four good places to see. Yeah, we got casino. I got casino within 15 minutes of me.
Yeah.
I'm not a casino person. There are a dime a dozen around here. Yes. I got lucky. I was there with a friend named co-worker with John, and he was a pilot. He was a helicopter pilot, and we were driving up to Mount St. Helens to just take to drive up to it, and he saw this guy's name that was he does helicopters for pulling out lumber, and all of a sudden he told me to pull in here. I was driving, and we got a private tour of the inside of Mount St. Helens.
Really?
Yeah, we got within, we hovered over the dome, the new dome that was growing, probably about 30 feet. It was getting too hot. Even that dome was still putting out some heat, and it was neat.
I don't
I was just a
forgot.
lucky bystander. All we had to do was pay for fuel.
I don't forgot what mountain we was actually on, but they had a place you could stop there and view Mount St. Helen,
Yeah,
and it still had areas that were they had signs up there explaining how far the debris or whatever you want to call it had shot
right.
over to that area, and you could see where the grass line where there still wasn't stuff growing.
Yeah,
All that burned.
that thing's probably getting ready to blow again. It's a growing. It's an active volcano. Oh well, I'm going to end this little
All
2 hours and 11-minute live stream.
right. All right.
Yeah,
Well, have a good night. We'll see you later.
yeah, thanks for hopping on,
All righty.
everybody, chatting. Night.
See you later.
Oops. All right.